welcome to Andy Decodes. Sit back and enjoy. As we dive deeper down into the rabbit hole and into the unknown.
Hello and welcome to today's show. I'm joined full house tonight. Tommy, no birthdays.
No
for the rest of the year.
Yeah, there's been too many.
Nicole nearly wasn't here. Was nearly going to urgent care with her son, but he seems okay. And we have the good. And we have the wonderful Dominic Zenden. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to having a chat with all of you, wherever you are.
Yeah, right. That's it. We're staying where we are now.
We're on the move.
Not moving it again. If it moves again, it's nothing to do with me.
All right. It's the other side, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The glitchers, we'll call them, whoever they are. Right. So we was just chatting off air. And you were saying that you read people's auras.
Ooh.
Can you give us a bit more detail on how you do it and how it all works?
Yeah, sure. There's so much complexity, but it's so simple. First of all, everyone has a frequency that they vibrate to. Every part of your body vibrates at different frequencies. Every frequency has a color. I'm lucky enough to be able to see those colors and be able to figure out what they mean. So over the years, for the last 23 years, I've been writing something called an aura photographic profile, which is a summary of a person from a color photograph. Now, how that started is quite a short story and quite an enjoyable story to share. It was my mates in pubs, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this. We're all sitting in the pub, having a drink, and my mates would actually get out their Nokias, which were at that time in the year 2000 were just turning digital, the cameras, the photographs, and they would show me pictures of their girlfriends, boyfriends, or whatever. And I used to look at the pictures and I could read the aura from the picture. And I discovered that each color had a meaning, each meaning had a purpose, and those purposes and meanings built up from just looking at a picture into what I now call an aura photographic profile, which is really a revealing report on the person that I'm looking at. It's, in a picture, the time capsule is the picture. So if you took a picture of yourself tonight, Tommy, I'd be looking at you in 2024, 12th of January, I think, if I've got that right. And if I looked at you back, maybe 10 years ago, we'd be looking at you, how you were then. That would be a retro aura. So we'd look at you then and see what you were. So you'd be a little bit of a reminder of that. And the aura is really the giveaway. It's the things that you don't tell me about you that I can actually figure out from what your colors give out. And that's the secret, really. It's very simple. There's nothing too difficult about it. But the thing that has to really be of interest, and I think you might find it interesting, is that everyone has a unique color signature. Everyone. Every animal, every object, every house that you walk into. And in society, if you walk in main streets, city centres, train stations, those sort of places, you will notice the people that haven't got auras.
Ah,
because they stand out. Because the majority of people do have auras. So the ones that don't have auras are much more interesting to me than the ones that do at this moment in time.
right. So can I ask, why do some people not have them?
Well, some people are not terrestrial, some are extraterrestrial. So you can be aliens, or people that have a different fade or shade of color around them, have a totally different persona around their energy field. You meet people that are soulless, people that have had walkouts and moved on, and their bodies are just walking around without the soul inside of them. There's those sort of things actually explain why people wouldn't have an aura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping you was going to go down that route. I was thinking it's got to be something like paranormal or part of the phenomena. So do you personally see many people without them?
No, it's an occasion when you do.
Right. Yeah.
It's really great because you spend your whole life sort of looking but not looking. And when you see something that's a bit different, you sit up and nudge the wife, and you become alive because it's something a little bit different and something you really want to start to explore. And it depends how much courage you've got. If you're on a really courage day, you'll go and challenge the person and start talking to them. If you haven't got that much courage, you'll sort of pull away and put your paper in front of you and sort of just mind your own business and just sort of look over the top. So it all depends on the circumstance, really. Yeah.
And how's your courage been when this has happened?
Oh, it's been different in so many different times. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's my first encounter with a non-terrestrial, shall we say. I look at it as an alien. I've got no evidence or proof to say it was, but it was in a London hotel. I was 18. I was sat in the foyer, and there's a man opposite me, about 40-ish, reading the newspaper. I looked at him. His aura was very transparent, very white, and I said in my thoughts, if you're not from this planet, please scratch your nose. In my head, just out loud, but inside. And he scratched his nose, and I ran. I ran as fast as I possibly could out of the foyer and down the high street, and I got as far away as I possibly could. I wasn't expecting that response. I just wasn't. I wasn't ready for it. But since then, I've had other encounters with other aliens in different parts of the world. And they've been quite fun. They've been quite enlightening, and sometimes they can be really, really fascinating. The fact that you can actually see them, they're surprised, that they're shocked that you can actually notice who they are.
Yeah. So the guy the being that scratched his nose, did he make eye contact with you?
Yeah, he looked across at me.
Looked right at you.
Yeah, and his paper went down. He scratched his nose, and I thought. Literally that, you get a moment, don't you? Where you think, I don't really want to be here any longer. And that was that moment. I got out fairly quick, but it taught me a lesson. It taught me if I wasn't prepared to wait for the answer, I shouldn't ask the question. I should just observe.
But I suppose that, though, just that one question in your mind is a massive learning curve for what you now do.
Huge. Absolutely huge, and not only huge in that sense, but to the point of understanding the dynamics that there are entities, non-terrestrials on this planet that do walk and live amongst us. And as soon as you realize that, your whole view on what this planet is changes dramatically, and it becomes a search for the unusual.
I wonder, have you ever gotten the opposite, like an aura or frequency, kind of walking around without a body?
Oh, yeah. They're called imprints to me. This is what I used to do at Ghost House. I was the resident medium at Ghost House for 4 years. Big house in the middle of England. And my job was to go into this place and find the ghosts, the imprints, for people that wanted to encounter them. So because I see color signatures, imprints of energy are quite common. You see them in buildings, you see them in street corners, on the tube, in big old houses. They're always there, and you can actually trace where they are, and you can see them move. So seeing energy imprints is a big part of my fascination with what is a ghost. Because we use that term very lightly, don't we? We use it very much like a giveaway, but there's so many different types and genres and different energy signatures that you can actually encounter. Each one has a different explanation, and the only reason they're paranormal is because we don't understand them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So something on top of that, I've been really interested in looking at cloaked animals and creatures recently. There's this, I don't know if any of you have actually looked into this yourselves, but there is a case for Bigfoot being cloaked, being able to cloak itself. Sasquatch, if you're in America. Also, there's other animals and legends in Alaska, where people hear footsteps and see footsteps appear in snow, and there's nothing there, and they've gone out to see if they could actually see what's coming, and there's nothing apart from the footprints appearing as they watch. Skinwalker Ranch, another place in America, which is now fairly well known, about cloaked or invisible creatures. So there is, and I think there is a category of something happening within our world that has this cloaked nature, and it could well be that it could explain poltergeists, because if you think about it, a poltergeist is something that throws things around, makes a lot of noise. You don't know what's doing that. We only assume it's a ghost. If you leave your back door open, anything can walk in if it's invisible. So literally, these whole category of things that we're now discovering because of the technology, because of infrared, sound technology, vibration technology, is giving us a different perspective on what is out there. And to me, that's really fascinating, especially when you take it up a notch and you start seeing the UFO phenomenon, the UEPs that are now seem to be cloaked. They seem to be in the skies, but they don't seem to be visible. They become visible on heat-seeking cameras or on vibrational cameras, infrared cameras, and that sort of thing. We've got a whole world that most of us don't actually recognize. And I think that is something really exciting, that we're now starting to have the technology to confirm that these things are there, but we don't know they're there.
Yeah. So these cloaked beings, vehicles, entities, whatever you want to call them, do you have the ability to see them all the time?
I have the ability to see them, but it's the same thing that you have to ask yourself, are you seeing everything? Because you might only be seeing a cross section because you don't know how much is there. So what I see is a different perspective to the light, the vibration, the shade that has, that is around for majority of people. I think people in my condition is about 1 in every 200,000 million people can actually see colors through vibration, music, sound, all that sort of thing. So it's quite a rare condition. But the thing is, I don't know what I can't see. I only know what I can see. So it's that, okay, I might be able to see a bit more than some, or see things differently to some, but there could be a whole host of stuff that doesn't even come close to my spectrum.
It's one of those, again, it's just completely mind-blowing.
It's fascinating when you start to explore it, because it opens up so many possibilities and so much you can do with it once you recognize the fact that working with it can be very beneficial and help people and change people's lives. It can give people a little bit more confidence in what they do, that sort of stuff.
But have you ever got to the point where you thought, I'm sick of this now, I don't want to be seeing it anymore, I just want to break and just see what the average person sees?
You make it sound like marriage.
Say nothing.
No, nor me. The wife will be watching.
Yeah.
Look, the whole thing is it does get to a point where it gets tiresome.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times that I go to bed at night, I sleep with a radio on in my ear, have an earpiece because I can't sleep unless I've got something going through into my ear to distract me. Can't drive at night because there's too much going on with lights and colors and bits and pieces. It's a real distraction. You don't always want to see people if they're not feeling totally good, do you? You don't really want to, you're going out with your mates and one of them feels a bit down. The last thing you really want to do is know that. You want them to keep that to themselves. And so there are times where it can get very, very, very difficult to be in that position. You just have to sort of get used to it. I mean, I'm 61 now, and I've been looking at auras since I was 5 years old. People in my life were colours. I mean, my gran was the green lady because she smoked, and the nicotine affected her aura, and she was just green. And my teachers were the red and black teachers because they used to be throwing insults across the room, and their voices used to go across in blacks and reds and stuff. So I used to name people after colours. I never used to think of people as just being people.
But quick question, then we'll either go to the questions or if Tommy or Nicole have. You were saying about sounds as well. Do you see sounds in colour?
Every sound, every vibration of voice is literally a colour signature. So when you talk, your colours come through your voice. It gives me the edge on telephone conversations because people don't realise that I can actually see that colour. They just think they're talking to me. So voices, if I close my eyes and actually really concentrate on the voice, it's easier than if I open my eyes and watch the colours come out.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I'm saying,
You think about it, right? I grew up with a radio constantly. I mean, I love music because music has so many multicolored signatures. Whatever music genre you listen to has different color signatures. I love music for that. I love listening to people commentate or read books or talk because they each have their own color signature. Everything's individual. Can you imagine going to see someone like Status Quo and the colors are all in that sort of order, and you see the colors coming from the guitar, the drums, the bass, and it's all an experience, and you never get tired of watching those colors. It's like every day there's something new. I watch the seasons change. I watch trees close up and go grey and then suddenly come to life, and they come to life with a lime green, and then they go into season and they go into summer, which is a really bright orange, and then they go into having conkers and nuts and stuff, and those nuts become bronzes and reds and stuff. It's lovely. It's a different world.
Another quick question, sorry. So do you see more colours than the average person? Is your colour spectrum wider? Do you know?
Okay, all I know, right, is that I see. Excuse me. Okay, all I know is that I see colour. If I gave you some examples, if I told you there's about 200 shades of orange that I know, that I can that I see, there's 150 shades of blue that I can actually identify and see. There's purples. Purples get into the 200s. Each shade I know the meaning of when I look at a photographic or a profile, and I know what they mean next to each other. And this knowledge hasn't been accumulated because I've sat down and studied it. It's been accumulated because I've actually wrote the profiles for people, and each profile is different, and I learned something new. So you probably see the same colors, but you just don't recognize there's so many different shades. To you, probably a blue's a blue, or you might get a blue green or a blue red or a blue
there's
yellow.
probably about 4 shades of blue. I've got.
Yeah. You're about, I mean, a Chelsea strip, aren't you?
Pretty much. Yeah.
It's about that. Yeah. So it's very much about being able to sort of show you. I could show you that there's a far more colours in the spectrum than you probably would recognise. Not that you haven't seen them, but you haven't actually stopped to see them.
Yeah, I've just not picked up on them.
Yeah,
People are asking if there's 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh,
yeah, well, everything to the lowest common denominator, really, isn't it? Yeah, you tell them that there must be at least 50 shades if they're all asking, because I'm sure there's a lot more than that.
Yeah. Tommy, Nicole, have you any questions?
I would really love to know my colour. I mean, can you tell me my
Ginger.
colour?
It's ginger, Tommy.
I know I'm ginger. It's got to be orange, isn't it? It's got to be.
Look, Tommy, remember we're live, okay? So
Yeah,
I'll keep
cool.
it fairly clean for you.
That's cool,
look,
man.
Okay, good.
I'm worried now.
And so you should be. You should be sweating by this point. Look, the way that you look at people is the aura is 3 levels. You've got the outer aura, you've got the inner aura, and you've got the middle aura. The outer aura is always a shade of orange, always. Okay, and it's coincident that you're ginger, right? That's one of those things. Very sorry, but right. But stop it now. Come on, let's come back. But remember that your personality is quite easygoing. You're not somebody that's demonstrative or difficult. I mean, you're stubborn. You're a little bit mad at times, and you'll do things out of spontaneity. But your aura is pretty straight. I mean, you're pretty much a man that calls it as you see it, and your opinions are as you see them, not by how other people tell you. And your outer orange, right, is quite dark. So what you've got there is you've got 2 personalities. You've got 2 phases of your life. You've got the lighter inner orange and you've got the darker outer orange. Now, that often means that you've gone through a transmission in your life where things were a little bit tough, a little bit difficult for you, and you've had to close right in. And that's created that color. And since you've actually closed right in, you've built this new part of you that is much more extrovert, and that's why you've got the different 2 shades around you. It's quite a common characteristic to see, but for you, I think it's very personal that you've got to be where you are right now.
Wow, man,
Cool.
that gave me goosebumps because it's really wow.
That's good. Right, Dominic, sorry,
Yes.
I've sent you the last photograph that I had taken, selfie. I've sent you on Messenger just because of all the colours behind me.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So if you get a chance, that would be wonderful. But
I'll have a look at it at some point and I'll write it back to you. Yeah, I mean, it's just being able to take it, put it onto a view screen so I can figure out, because you'll probably find that there's probably about 12, 13 colours in your aura right now and different complexities. Yeah. I mean, you're quite emotional as a person. You're a little bit sort of stand back and allow people to actually say whatever they want. But your enthusiasm for stuff is like, whoa. And so what you've actually found is you've actually grown up really fast, and you've hit the actual growing up stage really, really quickly. So you've become, from about 14 onwards, you become an adult. And that's been the most important part of your life, and taking the control and making sure that control is with you, because you've got the blue, which is an indication of communication and honest, straightforward communication. Yeah. But you do actually make judgments very quickly about people, and those judgments tend to stay with you regardless of what they do. So you're quite a difficult person to get on side.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay. There you go.
Wow. Thank you.
All right. I want to know. I'm scared. I was sitting here thinking, I'm like, I hope I don't have an ugly color.
Look, you can't have too many uglies. All right. And what you mustn't do, Nicole, is feed me lines. All right. Because I'm a bit of a comedian when it comes to doing this, because I do this on stage. I know the retaunts, I know the quick one-liners, and it's quite fun when you're actually doing it because everyone laughs. But it can be a little bit annoying as well when you sort of get taken down by this old guy that sees colours. So let's have a look at you then. Let's have a look at
There we go.
Are you comfortable to do this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Look, there's a lot of no nonsense about you. There's a strong inner self-protective mode. You're not somebody to go out of your comfort zones unless you feel that you're in and around people that are comfortable with you. I think strangers you tend to repel. You go away from them. You don't go towards them. There is this very deep suspicion about the way that you feel about things as well. You want to see everything in detail, and everything needs to be laid out in front of you so you can examine it. You're a forensic examiner of looking at facts. The blues and the purples show inner frustration through communication. It means people around you aren't listening to you. They only listen to part of what you're saying. And at this moment in time, you're not being heard when you're actually expressing what you actually want to do. So people are not really hearing you and your own sort of language. The pinks you have in your front are very much about how you see yourself. And those pinks are much more guided by where you want to be than where you are at this present time. There are circumstances in your life where you'll find yourself being around other people, looking after people, and you even find yourself attracting people that are difficult to you because of your energy. And you don't really want to do that. What you want to be able to do is concentrate on yourself. And because you're a selfless person, you find it very difficult to tell people no. And those are parts of your personality because of the pinks in your color.
That was like
where you
pretty
are.
spot on.
Yeah, that's where you are. See, the thing about auras, there is no trick. There is no game. It is just what your colors are.
Yeah.
And what your colors are tell me who you are. And who you are, you can't disguise. Even if you don't say nothing, you can't disguise it. And that's why it's so good when you get a profile, because you can actually look at that profile and go, okay, this is where my strengths are. These are where my weaknesses are. This is what I can do to improve this. And this is what I can actually benefit from. And this is what we try and do. We try and empower people to understand that they don't have to tell us or tell me about themselves for me to be able to figure them out and for me to be able to point out their strengths. So it's an empowerment thing. You know, like you, Tommy. Yeah, I mean, with you, you've come a long way in your life, and you've created a lot of security in your life because of your determination and your fortitude within the way that you think. I think it's been part of you and your process of growing up, and that whole process has taken you a hell of a long time, but you've stuck with it.
Yeah.
Wow. I think with you, Andy, I think that you sort of like to drift in and out of things. I think you consciously know what you like and what you don't like, but you like to go and check and test those boundaries. And your life has been full of just going and just testing the water all the time. And that's part of you. And I think you wouldn't be any other way. And you will say something just to test, just to see what the reaction is. And I think that's brilliant. I love that. It's great for an interviewer.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because when I first started doing this, I kind of used to hold back a bit because I didn't want to annoy the guest or make myself look stupid. And then I just thought, do you know what? I'm sick. I'm not sick. I don't want to be asking the questions that everybody asks everyone. And because it's the same questions on every interview. Tommy does podcasting. Nicole does podcast, and she goes out doing paranormal investigations, private and public. So we're all meeting people, and we're being asked questions, and we're asking questions. But I think with all four of us must be at the point of, please do not ask that question.
Oh, look, if I hear another podcast with the same questions and the same undertones that come with it, I think I'll scream. I really like the outward, the different, the The things that come from left center. I mean, a lot of people that I talk to will call it my curveballs.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. You don't ask why they call it that, but they'll call it that. But it's almost like the question is so important to the interview. You ask the right questions and you get an interview that's worth listening to. You don't ask the right questions, and all you get is a boring load of noise that you turn off after 5 minutes.
Yeah, and this is why I've pretty much done it from day one. I never write anything down. I might write notes down during the interview or during the stream, but I don't write where did it all start? What was your scariest experience? Why are these questions so annoying? And I just can't do it. So while you're talking, I'm listening, but at the same time I'm thinking. It's like, right, note that one, and that's why I'm asking the questions as you're telling me what you're telling me, because it's relevant to what's being said, and it's not generic questioning.
No,
it's like
it's
a more
fluid
organic conversation.
And part of why I got a Hope page on Facebook, which is Honest Open Paranormal Exchange, and it's all there because I want people to come and talk, because that's how you learn. When you discuss things and you open the conversation up, you start learning about things, because everyone, all of us will know something the other one doesn't know. We can all learn from each other, and I'm very, very keen to learn. There's so much I want to know about. I want to know about the new knowledge. I don't want the old knowledge. I want the new knowledge. And I want that new knowledge to be delivered to me by people that are interesting. I don't want people that are not passionate about what they do. I can't cope with that.
No. I don't think there's no point doing it if you haven't got the passion, the burning desire, the enthusiasm. Once that's gone, I think it's time to quit and either do nothing or do something totally different.
Change. Have a walk in. Go and do something else. Because
I think once that fire dies out, I don't think there's any way of relighting it.
No. I think we should all have a look at things that interest us. If we're interested by the paranormal, if we're lucky enough to be interested by the paranormal, there is so much that you can go into about that. There's so many areas, and when you start to go into one, it just opens up doors and asks more questions of the next one. And that's what fascinates me. It's not finding that there is answers out there, it's that there isn't answers. And the stuff that we don't know is far more than what we actually do know. Which I love. I love that fact. I can go for this for the rest of my life and still not know. And that's just brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. So I just love the rabbit holes because each one's so different to the next.
Well, Andy, what you do in your personal life, you shouldn't really be telling us.
I knew either you or Tommy was going to comment on the rabbit hole. Oh, well, you know what I mean? It's like every question, it just...
Didn't you tell the chat to keep it clean?
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Right, should we go to some viewers' questions?
Yeah, we have a ton of questions.
Yes. Do you want to do the first one, Nicole?
Sure. Okay, this is from Nickname. So, Dominic, what other abilities do you have? And are you a retarget to others that read auras within high strangeness?
Oh gosh, I think everyone's got their own abilities and everyone can learn from everyone. So no such word as target for me. It's just about being able to share and to explain and to help people understand. And if people want to understand auras, then come and talk to me. I'll share my knowledge. Knowledge doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to everyone. And the more we can actually interact with people and talk, then, what other people are, whatever people think, whatever people do is not in my control. That's entirely up to them, and I have no opinion on that. My abilities, I work mediumistically. I'm very interested in time and writing about things like time slips, and I've written 7 books over the years about different subjects, paranormal, legends, UFOs, all that sort of stuff. And I also do the odd occasional mediumship show because I have a special brand of understanding mediumship. This might be sort of new to some people, but I don't believe in the in-between world. or the realm of spirit. I believe that when we actually pass, our body dies, our soul goes into a new body. So we reincarnate without time. There's no time. It doesn't exist. So to have an in-between world doesn't make sense to me. So
Right.
what we have is we have many experiences in many different bodies and probably on many different planets. But that part of it is very interesting. But for me as a medium, I believe in soul-to-soul communication. And that means that everybody has the soul. Everybody can communicate between souls.
Yeah.
And because the soul is there open to that communication, we can find people anywhere if they're open to it. So if someone's passed and they're reincarnated, we can still connect to that soul. It's still there as part of that living entity that is a body, as a soul. But the messages are limited, and that's why it's not like having a conversation like we're having right now, where we can chat and we can, be joined up. It becomes much more about just evidential proof of somebody surviving, the body dying, and that the soul is evacuated into a new body. So that's all we're doing. All this stuff is he okay? Is he all right? Is all about the person that's grieving. Yeah. It's not about finding the contact. It's all about personal issues that people have. The bit that matters is that life after life. And that should be the one thing that we all look for within the evidence that we seek. If we're looking for evidence, is the fact that life does not end, because the soul is eternal. It's probably a record, a storage, plasma, if you like, whatever you want to call it. It actually stores all the information. And that's why we are timeless. That's why making things like learning lessons doesn't matter, because we already learned them. Because we've already got them inside. It's just accessing the inside knowledge that we have, and also being able to understand that as soon as we stop thinking in a human way that's been taught us for probably 200-300 years in our own constitution of what we know now, that our life changes and we start seeing things in a totally different way.
Yeah. So, sorry, I had a question. It's gone. When I remember, good. It's a good question as well.
That's why you write them down.
I hate it when that happens.
Well, I've not even got a pen.
You would say that, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Right. Next question. Do you want to do this one, Tommy?
Yeah.
I'll
Cool.
pop it up. There you go.
Would people who have attachments to something have no aura?
No, not necessarily. There's no generalization with this. When you're looking at people, everyone's an individual. Now, some people that may have had a walkout, their soul has actually gone, their aura really does collapse, and they have a very thin energy line around them, but they have a smaller, more transparent aura. So most people do have auras. The auras that I don't see are normally around people that are on incubators, in hospitals, that sort of thing. Their life force is gone. The energy you see is electrical, and that is what's replacing and keeping that person alive. Extraterrestrials have auras, some of them don't, but they have different colors in their auras. So if you've got an attachment, that's going to affect the vibration of your body. And you'll be able to see it through the different vibrational shifts in the colors that are visible to myself. So you can soon see if you have that or not. And who's to say what an attachment is? Is it an added bit of energy? Is it an entity that has actually been an imprint somewhere that you've walked through? Is it a living, sentient creature that's just decided to cling on? Is it someone's negative energy that you work next to, or that you've sat next to on the train? What is it to say what an attachment is? Because there's going to be many, many different ones, and many of which I probably haven't even encountered yet myself.
Yeah. So when somebody's soul leaves the body, where does the soul go, and what happens with the body? Because obviously the body's still alive and doing what it does, but
So when the soul transcends from the body.
Yeah.
So at the point of just before death or just before the body dies, the soul is released.
Right.
Yeah. And then that's probably looking at things like string theory to think of transdimensional shifts in the atmosphere and where the energy actually goes to within that. It will go through that sort of transformation. But I think it goes directly to a new body, directly in. We look at time very linearly, don't we? We look at all the linear times, the straight lines. We're born on one date and we live and we die on another date. Whereas I see time as a circle. I just don't see it as anything that is actually effective of where we are. And I did a really fascinating interview with a guy called Mike, who actually reckons that he was living the same life over and over again. And each time, it was a fascinating, and it's quite a long story, but I'll break it down. He was a rep that used to travel up and down the motorways. What happened is he reckons he was killed by a lorry full of girders that fell on his car. Yeah. And that he would wake up back at the beginning of the journey again, ready to go on that journey again. Okay. And he reckoned he had to avoid that lorry. But there should be, it sounds like Star Trek, doesn't it? If you've ever seen Star Trek with the repeating dimensions that go around. But anyway, he was very adamant that he'd had this experience about 5 times before he programmed his MP3 player to play Led Zeppelin, All of My Love, twice, one after another. And it got his attention so fast, he pulled over. Because he wasn't used to his favorite song being played. And because that favorite song was played, he actually pulled his car over to listen because he thought, well, this is pretty unusual. And just as he did that, this lorry lost its girders. So he actually found a way out of the loop. But it's a really fascinating story. And it does actually suggest that reincarnation is an actuality that has no time signature.
Yeah. That messes with me head a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, do you think, Andy, you could be going back round and being yourself again and again and again and again?
No, I won't wish that on anyone.
But everyone says that, but nobody actually can. You think about it. Your intuition, right? What do you think your intuition is?
Just don't know.
I know you asked the question, sorry, but
no, it's all right.
but the fact is, right, your intuition is an inner knowing, isn't it? It's an inner knowing.
Yeah, knowing what you're doing and what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And who's to say that inner knowing isn't because you've already done that situation that hasn't worked out and you know that it's not going to work out? How often do you do something knowing it's not going to work out, but you do it anyway because it's something you want?
Wow, yeah.
Yeah?
Too many to name.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want to name them for us? Yeah, because that would be interesting. Yeah, come on my podcast, Andy, and name them for me. I think that would be quite an interesting.
That'll be a show on its own.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, I suppose. So, would you say then that deja vu is? Could that be connected?
I'm glad you could say it. That there's 2 parts to deja vu. One is one eye can see slightly before another eye. Okay. So you think you've seen it before. Yeah. So if your left eye sees slightly a millisecond before your right eye, you're going to recognize it and go, "Oh wow, I know that place," but you don't. It's just your body fooling you. That's one explanation. And something that I've looked quite deeply into, and it's quite interesting. The other one is the familiarity of a place, and you get to be very familiar with some places. And if you've actually lived in that place and you've lived in that place time and time and time again, you're going to get a feeling of that you belong there or that you know that place. But as is the want of the way that we live, our environment is changing constantly. It really is changing. And the best cases of deja vu are the one that match on the timeline, for a better way of explaining it. So you're going back to somewhere, say, where you're born, where you grew up, and you go back there and you think, I recognize this. I know this is here. Or somewhere where you might go in for a job, or you might go work, or you might go downtown in New York, and you see something that's different, but you realize it's different. That's the thing, because sometimes you might see something that you don't realize it's different. So seeing difference is sometimes a really good way of actually spotting when you actually are having an experience of deja vu, because you know what it used to be like.
Yeah.
You don't even know what to say. We just want to like sit with that for a minute.
I just need to take it in. Need to absorb it.
Yeah.
I think, well, I had deja vu today. It all happened like a few seconds because I drive for a living. I was driving up a road, and obviously I'm in the UK, and you don't see many New York yellow cabs parked on someone's driveway. But as I'm driving past, I'm like, oh, that's got the black checkered stickers on the back. Mm-hmm. And as I got to it, it had the black checkered stickers. It's like, I know I've not seen that car before, but I knew what it looked like before I got to it.
Okay. Could you have been watching Taxi, a bit too much, or your image of what a yellow cab might have been? There's sometimes sort of an explanation, and sometimes there isn't.
Yeah.
It's when there isn't, I want to go and explore that. I want to come and look at you and talk to you through that experience and relive that experience, because some of it's mental suggestion. We all have views on things. If I said to you, visualize a clown, a lot of us would have the same, like Krusty the Clown, or, we would see the same clown. Yeah. And it's the same with a yellow like a yellow taxi. You say, describe a yellow taxi, and I'm sure, Nicole, you would describe a yellow taxi the same way as I would, but I would have seen it on the movies, and you would have seen it in the street. So there's so many different ways that we see stuff now visually, and we don't know what we remember. We don't know what we remember and what triggers what. So we have to be very careful what conclusions we draw into a situation. But having said that, Andy, what is stopping you actually of having done that situation before, like Mike did? And you might have driven the same, pathway, the same road, and it may be a trigger for you to avoid something. The fact that you recognize it.
Yeah.
But if you don't,
I was just going to say, it's the way it was parked, and then the houses that followed, because there's a pink house. So I knew that that was pretty much all the detail, but I knew that this pink house was coming up as well. But I don't know how I knew. Like I said, I could have driven up there before and just not took any visual notice, but mentally, I was taking it in. Yeah, no,
it's possible that you may have a recall memory. There's I know that Michael Newton talked about cell memory an awful lot. Every cell has a memory that has like muscle memory and all the things that our body can learn, and every cell has that capability of having another experience. That's why people that have transplants actually start drinking lager when they've been drinking wine all their life, because they have a different system of taste cells in their body. And those sort of things can happen with memory. If your memory extends way past your mind, and your body has memory all the way through it, what is stopping you recording everything in places that you haven't recalled it from?
Nothing at all.
And that could be an explanation for that.
Yeah.
You could have had that experience, and really stored it somewhere where you haven't accessed it, and then that moment is triggered. So there's lots. No, it's okay. I like to find the logic through the irrational, and because we don't know, we're guessing, aren't we?
Always.
We're guessing about all of it.
We are, aren't we? We don't know. A lot of
good educated theories, but they're still theories.
No, it's what I say about channeling. People that channel, I've got a lot of respect for channelers, but what I say is bring me some new knowledge, stuff that we haven't known about before. Because if you're bringing me stuff that we already know, then that's just your knowledge. So why would an entity on a planet billions of light years away want to transmit stuff we already know. Why would they waste their time doing that? We want to find stuff that's going to be useful. So if you're going to channel, let's have some useful stuff.
Yeah, completely agree.
Okay.
Right. Shall we go for a break then before we go to the questions?
Yeah.
Or to the rest of the questions? Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. It's just over 3 minutes. So I'll see you guys then. See you in 3. And we are back.
Hello.
Oh, are we all feeling refreshed?
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, sure.
I've actually put a light on in the room because it was getting really dark. So, right. We'll jump
We
straight
have a lot of questions.
We
to
have
get through.
loads of questions.
Have we? Okay. I'll do my very best to give everyone an answer.
We've got 22 questions.
Okay.
So,
okay. Well, let's I mean, as much
we
or as
can
little
do
as
what
you,
we can do.
All
yeah.
right.
I mean, I always make it a point to actually talk to everyone. So if we can get through them, all great. Yeah, because everyone's question is relevant.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Right. So the next one is from Dogman UK, and he's asking, does that make them damned? So I think he's going back to the people or the entities that don't have an aura.
Oh, okay. I think that it really does depend on your belief structure. If you've got this belief structure that you believe in heaven and hell and all the things that come within that, that's part of your belief and where you are. For me, my beliefs are that we have a very strong sentient feel to us, all of us, and that everything can be reached. We are unlimitless. I mean, we can do whatever we want. So why would that create damnation? It doesn't make sense to me personally. I know other people have their own individual ideas and views, but for me, I believe everyone has the freedom to extend their lives, to be able to reincarnate and to move forward and do other things within their soul bodies.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that.
Okay.
Tommy, do you want to do the next one?
Yep.
Sorry, just let me get it. Here we go.
It's not come up for me.
Oh, is it not?
It's not.
I can read it if you want. It actually says, does color blindness affect reading auras at all? Are you colorblind, Tommy?
No,
Is that what it is?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
No.
I know I've got a blue hat on, right?
Maybe your beard's blue. I mean, I don't know. It'd be quite nice, wouldn't it, if you woke up one morning and instead of being ginger, it was blue. Right, let's have a look at the question.
I've not got the question. Where's the question?
It just says, does color blindness affect reading auras at all? Well, if you're colorblind, you're not going to see the vibration of colors, are you? You're just going to see shades of gray. So, I mean, that 50 Shades of Grey question is really where I refer you back to. But it depends how colorblind you are. Some people's colorblindness just eliminates a couple of colors. And of course it will affect certain functions and certain details around, but you're still going to get an imprint and you're still going to be able to see certain colors because not every vibration is going to be affected by your disability. So auras are for everyone. And it doesn't matter who you are, what your disability is. You can even sense them. You can feel them on a drum beat. I mean, there is so much about vibration that you can actually sense and feel, as well as be able to see within your eyes, within your touch. So never, ever count yourself out of anything. Any disability is just something to get past rather than to try and worry about.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, next question. Do you want to do it, Nicole? Do you have the ability to see words on the screen?
Yeah, you're the professional, Nicole. Come on.
Yeah.
Do any of the phenomena have an aura? And if so, is it different from humans, i.e. colors, etc.? I think he's talking like aliens, Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's how you notice aliens because they have different auras. The thing is, a lot of aliens that I've come across have had very white or very pale yellow auras. And it makes them stand out. I'll give you an example. I was in Valletta, Malta, and I was in the center, just walking down the street. And this woman, a very small woman, walked past me, and she had this yellow aura. And I looked at her, and she knew that I'd seen her. So she smiled, curtsied, and walked off. It was just a moment of absolute madness because the aura was different. People have auras that are, 3 layers: the orange, the middle aura, and the inner aura. The inner auras are always shades of green. I look at them as sea green, apple green, different shades of green. You think all the shades of green there are. I mean, I've come up to about 350 so far. The planet is a shade of green. That's what we are, and shades of blue. Yeah. So if you think about that, people's auras are distinct in the way that the colors are there. And when you come across an entity, shall we say, let's just say, for instance, come across Bigfoot. Yeah. Bigfoot would actually have a very deep, dark aura if he got a real good picture of it. The interesting thing is Patterson and Ghibli, that picture of Patty? I've had a look at that, and it's a bloke. It's not a Bigfoot. The aura is actually still intact, and the aura's of a male about 35 years old. So, I mean, you can see on a picture if people are trying to fake it or trying to pull the wool over. And that's why I've always sort of been a little bit sort of understanding when people try and do this stuff, because you just look at the picture. You just look at the picture.
I'm a bit upset now, though.
Yeah, man.
Because I wanted it to be real.
Dominic, you debunk stuff.
We can talk Bigfoot, and we can talk other credible images of Bigfoot. And there's one image of Bigfoot where it's cloaked, but the shadow is still cast.
Ah.
Now,
Andy, can you send Dominic the Dogman photo?
Oh, the one in Cannock Chase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll put it up on the screen in a while.
I'll certainly have a look. If I don't do it right now, I'll do it at some point.
Yeah, send it to him later.
And I'll give you a little bit of a, what the colours are really, because they're the telltale. I mean, it's the colours that give away the entity. I mean, I'd love to see a picture of someone like Mothman or the Rake.
There was a pretty
or something
clear
like that.
photo of a dog man.
I know.
That we were going back and forth.
Yeah, I'd love to see it, because it fascinates me to see these things, because they're all taken with digital cameras now. They've all got the footage there, and they all have color signatures. And if they're real, we'll see the color signature.
Right. Shall I put it up now then? Because I really need to know. Because I've been putting this picture up now for about 18 months.
Have you got nothing else better to do?
No, nothing. Nothing at all.
Okay. Okay. Where are you going?
That all sit in the dark.
Right. Well, no, we don't want you sat in the dark. That's dangerous.
I'll do the zoomed in version. Are you ready?
Yep, go on then.
3, 2, 1. Boom.
Yeah. I don't feel it's real, because there's shades, but there's nothing vibrating around it at all. In fact, that is a composite picture. That's not a real picture.
Is that like a model?
The top half to me looks real. The legs look like they've been drawn.
Yeah, it's not real. The picture is a composite. It's not real. It's all over the place. If you look at it, right, for a start, if you look around the top shoulder of it, there is no energy signature there whatsoever.
And it kind of overlaps, doesn't it?
But you come down here, and there's a little bit of a color signature. It's a composite picture. Someone's actually put this picture together like a jigsaw puzzle.
Ah,
interesting.
Right. Can I show you all 3 images then? So the story behind it is a guy was having stuff going on his farm. He set up a trail cam. It was somewhere in or around Cannock Chase near Lichfield, Staffordshire, is it? And these are the 3 images that he caught. So there's the first one. You can't really see anything on that.
Okay.
Now this is the second one. This is the original from the one that was just zoomed in on.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next one.
And that is of it moving.
Yeah.
But
it's not a real picture.
You've upset me twice tonight.
Do you know what? I wish it was.
I know.
I'm sorry I asked you to do that.
No, it's okay. You can do it anytime. You can email me these stuff, and I will give you my open, honest, and I will justify why I'm saying stuff to you. Yeah. Always.
Have you seen a picture of a cryptid that you would say is legit?
I saw a skinwalker picture.
Yeah.
That was really, really good. The energy was very, very dark, very, very covered, but it was real. There was no 2 ways about it. Whether it's a transcendental situation or whether it was a situation where this creature has skipped through dimensions or come through a porthole or something like that, it is very, very good, very real, very, very straightforward. And it shocked me when I saw it because I thought, because I mean, we all think are skinwalkers real? Are they just a figment of imagination? Did the Indians believe in this stuff because of tradition or because of fear? And looking at it, you think, wow, this really does exist. Really does exist. And it's quite a scary thought to think that really does exist. The second thing about it is that we reckon that if you imagine it, you can create it.
Yeah.
And this is the bit that is really, for me, I mean, like Rake Man wasn't noticed, wasn't seen until it started to become into the consciousness. And it was created for the Marvel comics, wasn't it? And now people spot Rake Man. They spot pictures of him. Yeah. Is it real, or is it a figment of our imagination that we actually transmit across onto that particular zone? Yeah. And there, I've yet to see a real convincing picture of a rake, but I really want to, because I want to see what the color signatures are. Yeah.
Can I show you one more picture? Now, this is Bench Guy. So this was a person or a thing that I encountered whilst out doing an investigation in the local cemetery.
Okay.
So, just trying to find it. Oh, where's it gone? Right. So this is a better picture of it. So this is a still from the actual video.
Right.
So that's illuminating red is his face. You can see he's like leaning forward. You can see his feet and his left hand, and he's kind of like looking towards me.
You've got an imprint there.
Oh.
It's an imprint. It's an energy imprint. I've seen energy imprints before from people.
Oh my God.
And
you were talking to a ghost.
I had a full conversation with him, like I'm talking to you guys now.
I can share other insights into that. Your story sounds fascinating. People do talk to ghosts. I mean, I had a conversation on the phone with a guy that died 3 months previous. Right? We do. The chances are that when we experience that stuff, we don't realize that we're experiencing it.
My God.
We are sat there, we are interactive, and the sentient nature of imprints can have conversations and can actually link into our thoughts. Yeah. So it's very real. It's a very real phenomenon. I think it's something that we don't know how. We don't really understand what it is, the mechanics. But for me, it's an energy imprint that's left on the atmosphere, a bit like the tome tape, the stone tape theory, where everything prints into things. And I think that's what you probably experienced there. The conditions are right. Definitely the colors around it are very narrow and very, very white. And that would always be an energy imprint. It wouldn't be anything that was real.
Right. Well, I was having a conversation. I'll just tell you quickly because we've got loads to go through. I was having a conversation. I thought it was my mate Mark who had gone out investigating with us doing a live stream. So I'm shining the torch. Ryan, who's in the chat, he was in the studio and like putting the questions up and the viewers and that. So him and Deb that was on were like laughing because I'm shining the torch and blinding this guy on the bench. I went over. He had a really thick, strong Dutch accent, very, very pale skin. I had a body cam on, GoPro with body harness. Now, some people could see him when I had the camera pointing. Some people couldn't. Some could hear him. Some couldn't. I'm stood about 3-4 foot away from him, having a conversation. I had really pale skin. Cool. I'd say he was mid 24 to 27. Okay. Yeah. He had trackers on, baseball cap, hoodie. He was on his phone. His phone was in his right hand, but he's looking at me. Like I said, he had really pale skin. His face wasn't lit up red like that while I was talking to him. Now, Mark, he'd gone the other way. So I said, I apologise for blinding him. Explained to him what I'm doing. He went, yeah, that's cool. Went and found Mark. Oh, no, walked away. Then reality kicked in that what just happened. That while I was talking to him, I felt comfortable. As soon as I moved away, it's like goosebumps and that horrible gut feeling and everything. It's like, oh, no. So I found Mark, because he said, oh, your mate's just gone down there. He's just walked past me. Now, Mark was filming using his phone. He goes, no, he stopped the filming, went back to where he's walking past the bench. Nobody sat on it. He didn't see anyone.
Brilliant. I love it. I love it. It really shows that there's a category of entities that we do not understand that exist, that we can interact with. I'm sure that's what spirit boxes are all about, and frequencies and vibrations. We just have to understand it.
Yeah.
And what you had was an experience that is unique. Not many people get that experience, but it's something that you can talk about because it really happened. It's a real experience. And the more that you talk about it and explain it, the more other people will explain their experiences of the same ilk. And we'll find that these experiences are fairly common.
Yeah.
Just that
Well,
people
that's
are so nervous about them.
Yeah, well, that's what we were saying before we come on air, wasn't it?
Yeah,
About,
we were.
like,
Yeah.
the reason of doing this and the sharing and getting people to come out and give their encounters and not be afraid to talk about it, and for people taking the mickey and ridicule and all that. But that does give a lot of verification to that, because I was 90% certain it was something non-human, but that 10% was, but it could have been.
Okay. Think of it this way, Andy. Think of it this way. Who do you know who you're talking to? How do you know? How do you know? You
don't.
You take it that you're talking to someone, don't you?
Yeah.
But you don't know. Yeah,
No.
I mean, there's millions of ghost stories out there about people that have had encounters with strange people that have just popped in. People call them all sorts of different things, but there is lots of sort of recalls of these stories. And quite honestly, the fact that we recognize it and the fact that it happens to people like you makes it a real phenomenon that can be studied. And people like me, I can look at it and go, that's an energy imprint. It just helps the process so we know where we're looking. Yeah.
And the thing is as well, so with the GoPro, the picture wasn't very clear, but I picked up a lot of the audio. When you listen to that back, he sounded like he was an old man, like in his 80s and 90s.
Right. Okay. And so the EVP, the electronic voice, phenomenon that you picked up from him, the actual recording has a special significance because that will have a color signature all of its own. And you can pick up the color signature of something like that, and you can place it within the spectrum of where the voice will actually belong to. So, for instance, you said he sounded Dutch. Okay, he could have been Dutch. He could have been Flemish. He could have been German. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of wide width band of that. And the fact is, we don't know. We're just going on our own personal experiences.
Yeah.
Vibration of sound will give you an accurate situation within that. It'll give you an accurate voice. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Okay, it's interesting. I love that stuff.
I feel better, but I also feel a bit violated because when I was talking from the time when it happened, I was never, like I said, I was never 100% as to what it actually was. Because the way the cemeteries lay out is there's 3 main entrances. There's the bit where you drive in, where the house is at the front. There's one down the side. It's a little gate. You can only get one person through at a time. Okay. And then there's right down the back at the far end, there's a bit of a fence. You kind of have to climb over. There's a narrow footpath that takes you around onto a housing estate. And he would have had to pass us to get to either of them places.
Yeah.
Now, this is the weirdest thing of all. So right at the end, we just finished filming and we're down near the chapel, and we heard what sounded like a female screaming animal type noise.
A mimic.
And we both spun on our reel and was like, no.
Okay. That's a mimic ghost. If you've ever come across a mimic ghost, have you ever come across one?
No.
They actually
make no.
Well, yes and no. They make the sound of a person that you're familiar with, or they'll make a copy of a baby crying or a woman screaming to draw you across to them. They want to attract you. I've come across mimic ghosts that can mimic a partner's voice and call them. There's a lot of stories in Alaska about people that go missing. And they go missing because they've seen their mate 200 yards away. They didn't expect to see them, and they've heard their voice calling them. and that's the last time they've been seen. So that woman screaming was very likely to be a mimic ghost. And
Wow.
to me, mimic ghosts are the most scary ghosts that you're likely ever to encounter, because they're impersonating. It's a bit like someone impersonating Tommy down here, and speaking in his voice, saying, "Come over here, come over here," and you wouldn't even think twice, would you? You'd go.
No, I'd be straight over.
Yeah, that's why it's scary.
Well, both of them things happened the same night.
Yeah, well, you're in the right place then, weren't you?
Yeah, I'm not going back there. That's that.
The wrong place.
I want to go.
That is like 2 miles from my house. That place.
Wow.
So
I want to go. I want to go and see it, because to me, that's what I'm interested in, is finding out what is there. And
where are you based?
I'm in Norfolk. On the east coast. So
I'm Northampton.
Oh well, we're just down the A14.
Yeah,
so not far away. I grew up in Cambridge, so
I know Cambridge as well.
Yeah, so I'm really sort of easy access to all this stuff. I love doing that.
Cool.
Yeah, I love doing stuff, with investigations and hauntings and stuff, because we're discovering. I want to know what it is. I want to know. Yeah. I don't want to be scared or frightened. I just want to know. I want to find out.
Well, if you fancy coming down, we can arrange something. And
yeah, sure.
Definitely.
I'll bring the wife. You can scare her as well.
I'll wait at the gate. You go in and check your colours, and I'll.
Well, it's cheap. That's cheaper than a divorce, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. So I'm just letting all that sink in. That's just
mental.
Yeah, it's just put the lid on everything, literally.
It's good though, isn't it? Because there is open conversation that we can understand, and sometimes it takes just those conversations to start the real answer coming out, not the speculation. It's good. Yeah.
So that now, because I've been to that cemetery God knows how many times since, and never thought of it, because things have happened since, but not to that degree.
Okay. I think that you're there at the right time. Your energy is attracting. There's imprints in the atmosphere all over the place, and I'm absolutely sure there's all sorts of different entities that are invisible that we don't see.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely sure. Doesn't make them spirits or ghosts or whatever. No, but I'm absolutely sure they're not all out there in good, and they're not all out there deliberately to scare. But they are out there. We just have to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Wow. You want to jump back into some more questions? Because we still got a lot to get through.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Now that you got your mind blown.
We have a conversation sometime, Andy, about
a little bit.
It's interesting.
It is very. Tommy, do you think...
If the question comes up, I will read it.
Do you have the ability? That's what I want to know.
It's come up. I've got the question.
Hey.
I've got one. Okay. Now I've got to read. I don't know if I can do that. Can a person's aura change throughout their life? Feelings, emotions, illness?
Absolutely. It changes throughout the day. The aura changes constantly. That's why a color photograph allows that time capsule of that moment to be able to be preserved, so we can look at a person, how they were at that precise time. If we take two pictures and we take them 3 months apart, we can see if a person's actually changed some of their mental, their diet, their living accommodation, their emotional status. It shows all that stuff on the aura photograph. It's also a really good thing when you're dating people. If you're going on dating sites, we look at the picture, and if the picture's old, it will show the person where they used to be at that particular point. So you get a sort of an understanding that sometimes people aren't always authentic when they're actually sticking pictures up. Social media, all this sort of stuff, it's born by people putting pictures up. And if only they knew what could be seen from their picture, they wouldn't do it. Yeah. But
is it possible then that we can see these auras without actually knowing we're seeing them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all see them. I think we all have a sense about situations, and I'm
Yeah.
sure it's the energy that we feel of a person. You know what I mean? You can walk in a room and people feel comfortable straight away, or they feel very negative straight
Yeah.
away. You can walk into any situation, you can feel it's not right. So
Yeah.
I think we sense them. I really would love to teach everyone to see them so they could just confirm. But all you have to do is listen to your instincts, your senses. And I think that's probably the best that a lot of people get to without the training or without the knowledge of how to split the colors.
Yeah. No,
Is that like
thank
when
you
you
for
meet
that.
somebody and you're just like, yeah, they don't give me good vibes?
Oh yeah, that good vibe thing is woo, it really is. It's you feel it. You'll feel it on the tube, on the underground or train, in the bus queue. You'll feel it everywhere. But then you'll also feel the warmth of people. You'll feel their caring, their kindness. And for every action there's a reaction. And I just think that if we went on what we felt, we wouldn't get pulled into so much difficult stuff, because often we get it disguised. People tell us what they want to tell us, and when it's disguised, because it's what we want to hear and what we want, we go with it. And we shouldn't do. We should go with what we feel.
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay.
Right. Next question. Do you want to do it, Nicole? Did you put one up then, and then it went, and now I can't find the question?
No, I just put up the one for Tommy.
Right. Oh, so the question that I'll do this next one then. So a question popped up. Are there any world leaders that you've noticed that don't have any auras, or very limited?
Great question.
Be careful with this one.
Oh gosh, I mean, no one's going to mention Trump here, are they? In any which way, I don't want Trump lawyers coming around saying my president does have an aura. How dare you accuse him of being auraless? No, there's people around that aren't what they say they are.
Yes.
There's people that are disguised, and I don't know if anyone's read David Icke, and he talked about the British royal family being reptilians, and there was a lot of say about this. But I often think that people have shifting personalities, and their personality does shift from area to area and how they become. And there are some world leaders that have shift personality tremendously over the last 10 years. And you actually will notice it when they actually present themselves on the world stage. It's when they're all together that you notice it much more, because they all become very similar energy. When they're away from each other, their energies are very individual. So it's that sort of way of looking at people. But I tend to avoid looking at newspapers now, because when you look through a newspaper, or you look through one of these sort of news forums, you get so many pictures that are so false that it's not even worth looking through them, because they're not representative of the person that they're actually taking the picture of. So to answer the question, there are world leaders with very narrow auras. There's probably people that are very much more extraterrestrial than they are terrestrial, but we aren't aware of it in the human way because they look very human.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, thank you. Right. Next one. Sorry, Nicole. Do you want to do this one?
Sure.
Have you got it?
Nope.
Oh, right. Ready? Oh, there we go.
All right, this one's from Dogman. Question, Dominic, what do you see with AI, if anything, sir?
With AI, in artificial intelligence, what do I see? In what context? Because AI is literally just a computer. It's just a false memory, isn't it? It's a artificial intelligence. So when you picture somebody, it's not artificial. It's actually real. The vibration is there. If you look at an electric screen or anything that's actually got a robotic or a memory, what you will actually see is lots of blues. The blue is very significant around the way that the information is translated and transferred, but you won't see much else. And it's a very interesting part of looking at things these days, because so many things that we come across aren't what they seem to be. You know, people have photoshopped their picture, or they've transferred bits and pieces of picture onto picture. And when I look at pictures, I don't see the same things as they want me to see. I see it in a jagged or displaced way. So artificial intelligence is the same sort of thing. You'll see it in a displacement. It'll be a false. It won't be a human color. It'll be a electric blue or a neon blue or a greeny blue that you can actually see sometimes, that you don't see around humans. Very rare that you see those colors out there around individuals.
Right. No, thank you.
Okay.
Yep. Next question for, Tommy. There you go.
Okay. Can you see truth and lies through color?
Yeah. Everybody has vibrational voice signatures. So when somebody's telling a lie, their voice turns very pinks and very yellow. And so you can actually see they're trying to deceive. Where people mix up truth and lies, because the best place to put a lie is in between two truths, because people won't really look at the as being a lie. They'll think it's a truth because the other two are. You actually see the color signature change between yellows and pinks. So people have to be very, very good at not telling the truth or believing what they say to disguise that. I'll give you an example. Politicians are very good at saying something that they believe to be true that is nowhere near true. You get journalists as well that are very good. Football managers, very good at saying things that they don't believe to be true, but they say it anyway. There's so many different examples. The word lie is such a horrible word, isn't it? But what it is someone that doesn't believe what they're saying or wants to go out there to deceive. And yes, you certainly see a color signature change with people that are trying to deceive.
No, thank you for that.
Okay.
Next question is from Jojo. Do animals have auras?
Yes. One of my favorite parts of my work is working with horses and working with the equine, races and looking after horses, because a really happy horse will have a really nice, gentle, sort of golden, green, sort of blue aura. When the horse is unsettled, it will have a very close, very pinkish aura. And so, part of what I do is go and look at the horses and see how happy and content they are. I also look at the relationship between the horse and the jockey. So if the horse doesn't like the jockey, the aura changes. It's quite quite fun to see that, which a lot of horses don't like the jockeys that are riding them. They like to be connected to the jockey. And also they have different parts of their body that can show up. If they've got a stone in their hoof, or they've got a fetlock that's a little bit sore, the aura will actually indicate that. So horses and auras go really well together. Dogs, cats, chimpanzees, bears, anything that has a vibrational signature has an aura. And so you see it. If you watch the bee, the way a bee flaps its wings and the vibration of the wings making the sound, not only do you see the very nice sort of golden bright yellow, you actually hear it at the same point, and you hear the vibration going up and down, because it actually makes that vibration through its movement. So everything has different energies. I teach auras as well. I teach people to read their dogs, read their cats. It's a lovely way of getting them to actually sit still and study, because everything's got a white outline. Everyone can see the white outline. I'm sure you guys have all looked at something and seen the white outline. Once that white outline splits, you start to get the color, and you start to get the much more individual colors of the animal, so you can pick up the temperaments and stuff, and their needs, whether they're hungry, thirsty, unhappy, happy, and you start to get those signatures. So a very good introduction to auras is actually looking at your own pets.
Well, Tommy is going monkey world tomorrow, so
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh
I'm going
dear.
this one.
And I
Yeah.
didn't even
Oh,
get an
those-
invite.
Those
How
poor
rude.
monkeys.
You can all come. Let's go. I'm going to go and see the orangutans because I
Yeah.
think there's could be a relationship. A relation.
I know. Well, do
Yeah.
you know what? There's you do the law of attraction does work, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
really
Oh,
does. Yeah. So have a lovely time with the orangutans.
Like I will do. I see my
Yeah.
brothers and sisters. And
No, they're beautiful. The thing is, when you see, and this is why I don't like zoos. I don't like to see animals caged in zoos.
No.
I find it really upsetting to go into that environment. I think we should forget about zoos now. We're past the Victorian times. We don't need to cage animals to protect them. They can be protected in their own environments. And it's a shame that we still feel that we need to do that. And it does show. If you walk, the nicest thing I ever had, I went to see a lion, a lioness with its cubs. Now, very rare that you get that close to a lioness with cubs because they're pretty. But I was that close. I was about 4 inches away from her.
Wow.
And it was an amazing aura. Really amazing aura. This lion was really proud and really mad that she had to be where she was doing what she was doing. And it didn't feel right. It doesn't feel nice. But I think that we do some awful things to animals. If they could talk, we wouldn't do it. I absolutely know.
No.
yeah.
It's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, but can we make Monkey World an exception for tomorrow, just for Tommy?
Yeah.
Well, no,
After
I think
tomorrow, I won't go again. the last
what I want
time.
you to do, Tommy, I want you to go and I want you to spot to see if you see the aura and tell me what the colours were. Because that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Because if you're seeing happy monkeys, they'll have bright auras. If you're seeing unhappy monkeys, they're going to have really deflated, and they're not going to be there. You'll sense it whether they're happy or not, especially after our conversation today.
Yeah.
The thing is with Monkey World is a lot of the monkeys are rescued from like circuses and places like that.
Okay.
So a lot of them have come from bad environments.
Right.
They've sort of been saved, but
sure. So conservation's a great thing, but I would rather leave them in the wild in the first place. That's in the sort of the world that I live in, because I see their agony, and it can't be nice, can it? Being sort of trapped and caged and taken to a circus and told to go and sit on a plank or something and run up and down and throw a ball. That's not good, is it? No way is that good. No way. I can't say that is.
Yeah.
No. Bad man, Tommy.
Poor
I'm not
monkeys.
going now. I'm not going now. I'm not going to go.
No,
Tell the kids. I'll tell the
Tell
kids.
them
It's gonna be for you.
The thing is, though, like you said, they're rescued, and if they was to be released into the wild, they wouldn't survive.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. I totally agree. But they're
It's
rescued
different
from.
story. Yeah.
But we take them out of the wild in the first place, don't we?
Yeah.
So we're rescuing things that we've already,
Damaged.
So
They've been
solve the
removed.
problem at source and don't take them in the first place.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Right, moving on to a lighter note, hopefully.
Yep.
I don't know. What's the next question? Let's see.
So this
Okay.
is from Dogman UK. He's asking, do you see halos?
Oh gosh.
Like the Beyonce song.
I know. It's a perception of what a halo is. To me, a halo is an aura, and it's just a way of really showing it in a biblical sense or in an angelic sense. So I wouldn't say I see halos. I see something that's significantly different to a halo that could be classed as a halo depending on your belief structure. If you believe it's a halo, it's a halo.
Yeah.
I actually see it as an aura because I see it all the way around. I don't just see it above the head. So, the whole thing about halos is you have to have that sort of belief, don't you? That everyone has that. I think the aura is all around us. It goes all the way around us. It probably comes out about 6, 7, 8 inches, about 12 centimeters from the body. And different people have different depths of auras. So if you were to look at someone's head only, if say, for instance, I just saw your head, Andy, you would probably have a bit of a halo,
Yeah.
But it's something that is described in a different way to what I see. And I can only comment on what I see and how I work with that.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Next question, Tommy. I'll pop it up.
Can Dominic see in Nicole's background?
Right. So
Sorry,
this is
can Dominic
going
see
back.
things in Nicole's background?
Yeah. So this is going back to mainly on Wednesday, but she has a lot of orbs going off in the background. I think we picked up, was it about 5 or 6 on Wednesday's show?
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Okay. Orbs are really interesting. They're little energy balls the size of grapefruits. And
Yeah.
if you see them with the naked eye, I think they're much more convincing. If you see them on camera, they're a little less convincing. But every orb has an energy signature. So, I mean, if you've got them around you, we'll find them. If we look hard enough for long enough, and we'll be able to explain what they are. Some people think an orb is like a sentient life form. Some people think it's compression, it's plasma energy, plasma electronic, electric energy. And they can say that it's actually energy from a spirit or a soul that's actually floating and around. I had an experience with 2 orbs that I woke up and they lit the room up. They were above me, and I'm absolutely positive they were sentient and they were there. The only thing we question is what they actually are.
Yes.
Are they? I know experiments have been set up in the darkest, deepest oceans to watch these orbs come through the planet. They take cameras down there and they set the pictures so it's triggered by light. And the only way it would ever be triggered if an orb came through, or a rod, which is a similar thing to an orb. And they actually capture some really good rod pictures. And if you look in haunted locations or haunted places, quite often the energy will be actually diluted into a rod or into an orb, and you can see them with the naked eye.
Yes.
And they're the ones that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in some of the orbs. Some of them are real. Some of them are just reflections within photographs that are digital. But the real ones, I'm very interested because I think they're sensing energy, and probably either time travelers or space travelers, or if you think about it, the most efficient way to travel through the universe will be as a round ball of energy.
Yeah.
Because you can go absolutely anywhere. So why not? And they will be attracted to people that are very sensitive like you, Nicole. Because you're a sensitive soul. You're compassionate, and you see and feel the sense of things. So why wouldn't they come to you? I mean, they're going to be drawn to people that have that compassion. Tommy, you don't stand a chance, mate. I know that is the rub, isn't it? But the actuality is they will be drawn to people, and they will be in places, and they will be in some people's homes.
Yeah. Well, I actually seen 2 twice last year when I went to Rendlesham with the UFO landing, the original, official UFO landing site.
Oh, right. Okay.
Well, this is the one where the fence is going down into the farmer's field. So that's
with the little bench and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
and there's me and a guy called Alex Lovelock who lives just outside. I was about 20 minutes away from there, and met up with him there, and we had a walk about, and we both seen 2 orange orbs, and we seen them twice. But there's moving on the ground, there's like zigzagging. At first I thought it was a reflection off his watch, but was leaning on a branch and his watch was pointing upwards. So there's no way it could have been about pointing down 180 degrees. Impossible.
And it wasn't the lighthouse, because that's out of commission now. So
I can't even see a lighthouse.
Yeah, sort of tongue in cheek. I mean, Rendlesham is an amazing place because it's the only encounter that really in this country that has been noted as being a physical encounter, because Pedersen touched the craft, didn't he, and downloaded all the binary stuff. So he claims, although that was 10 years after he touched the craft, that he downloaded the binary, which puts it into doubt a little bit. But the story is really interesting. Those woods are extremely active. I've been there a few times myself, and there's a lot going on in those woods. It wouldn't surprise me if there isn't a porthole around there somewhere where energy comes through. And it's probably what attracts these craft, these entities to come through. Although, that showing in December 1980 would have been all about the nuclear weapons that were held on the bases there. We know that. We know that the entities or even ourselves, our future selves, are coming in and actually spotting and actually looking at this stuff. It may be saving ourselves from ourselves, but it's a very interesting place to explore. And orbs in the woods. Yeah, there's also adders in those woods.
Yes.
And I've seen lots of adders in those woods, so which makes me know that the place isn't too bad a place, because adders won't be in anywhere where there's no energy. The energy is always good where the wildlife is. They wouldn't be there otherwise.
No. It's like, I just quickly, we went to a place in the middle where they chopped a lot of the trees down, put a digital K2 meter up on the tree, and the numbers were going up. I was just moving it up and down on the back, and the numbers were going. And there's no electric, there's no pipe, there's nothing in that area.
No, but there's ley lines across it.
Yes.
If you've ever looked at the ley lines, there's ley lines that go across that area.
Yeah.
And these electrical lines will actually change the readings of compasses. So if you take a compass next time you go,
yes,
see if you can navigate where your north and your west is, because you'll find it extremely difficult with the compass. That's why you have to leave markers, because Rendlesham, although you could get lost easily because it's very the same, it's lots of trees in one place. The fact is that the area is on lots of grid energy. There's lots of energy that goes through it. And that's what throws people. They think they're just walking into a woods, and they're not.
Oh, no.
They're walking into somewhere probably a bit like I don't know, Skinwalker Ranch, for instance, in America, where there's portholes or there's energy vortexes in that area that allow things to come through. And that's probably what changes the energy frequencies.
Yeah. I had a compass with me, and I didn't even think of using it.
Oh, you must use a compass.
Yeah, so it's hooked onto my bag, so definitely next time.
Yeah, take it with you. It's really useful. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we're going back soon. Right. Next question, Nicole. There you go.
Okay. Does Dom think para is normal?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just not understood. There's things that we just don't know how to explain. There's lots of things out there that we call paranormal because we haven't got a rational explanation for it. So it's just normal stuff we don't understand yet. There'll be a rational explanation at some point, and the more people have an open mind to understand about the fact that it's only stuff we don't understand, the easier it will be to explain it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Next question is from Brian. He's asking, "Hi Dominic, do you have knowledge on past lives? Thank you."
Oh yeah, really interested in past life and future lives. Really interested. Yeah, I can. I mean, I know I don't want to go into too many stories because it gets a little bit dull. But the past lives, definitely very interested in children's past lives, because between the ages of about 3 and 5, they can recall events and things that have actually happened to them.
Yes.
There's a very famous case in America, in California, Marty Martin, who was a Hollywood actor who acted with people like all the Hollywood jet set in the 1930s, came back as a child and recalled his story basically. And of course, that story was just fascinating to hear, and that whole thing came out. There's another guy in America who was a chief, and he was reincarnated, but this chief had lost his fingers. And when he was reincarnated into this boy, he was fascinated that he had his hands and his fingers back, and the actual chiefdom has actually made him that chief again. So, a bit like following that trend. So they're acknowledging the fact that there is that person that's come back in. So there's lots. There's the guy in India who actually, when he was able to talk, he was talking about his TV shop in Delhi, that he owned a TV shop. If you've come across the story, it's fascinating. And his parents got really sick of him telling them about the TV shop in Delhi that he owned. They took him there, and he said, "That's my wife," and she was behind the counter, and he just recorded it in great detail. So That's only 3 stories that I can tell you about that come to mind straight away. That there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of documented stories of people that have gone into past lives, that have come and relived and retold their story again and again. I was very interested in it, and I used to take people forward because I'm more interested in what they're going to do in the future.
Yeah.
Because that, to me, time's a circle, and I think, well, we can move forward. And I took a journalist questioned me on it. I said, well, come on, let's go and do it. Let's take you forward. We're going to take you forward about a year. And we took it forward, and she described this room in this really hot, sunny location, and everything was in that room, and she was looking out the window. And she said, I've got no idea what that is, Dom. No idea, but I've got it on tape. I've documented it. Well, about 12 months round, she was called to do the Oscar Pistorius trial. And she found herself in this room in South Africa, which she described 12 months earlier. And that's on tape. It's documented that she recalled that 12 months before it happened to her. That's why I don't really think of time. I think that we're just in and out of different zones. So past lives, future lives, lives, just your lives are very, 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 very interesting to me. And also the fact that we can prove it. We can show it. I mean, there's absolute proof, and if you're absolutely wanting to understand it, you can research it. So there's so much you can actually show on your own just by looking at cases and just examining them. Really interesting, though.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Right. Got a couple more questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So, Tommy.
Can Dom see people speaking? Speaking to the deceased.
To the deceased.
See, sorry. I can't read that.
All right. Tommy, look, before we come on next
I'm only
time,
drinking energy drinks, I swear.
He says.
You must go and get some lessons.
Yeah.
Right. Can we see? Can I see people speaking to the deceased?
Yes.
Very, very rarely. The best medium I ever saw was a lady of about 77. We were sat in the spiritualist church because, why not? And there was about 7 of us on a Sunday evening, as a spiritualist churches, aren't always that highly frequented. But this lady walked up and down the aisle, and she spoke in Chinese, English, and French. And she gave each one of us a message that we could take. Wow. She took her 20 minutes, and then she just said, thank you very much, and left. And so that was my experience with somebody that I think was communicating with something. Whether it's energy signatures, to me, I tend to think of it as soul-to-soul communication, not to the deceased. I think we connect to souls. And I think she was very, very good at talking to souls.
Yeah. Well,
thank you. So that was a good experience.
Excellent. Definitely loved for you to come back on, because there's so many different branches of this. It's like it's impossible to go through it all in one go.
We could do a whole show on auras, a whole show on like past and future lives.
See, I want to know more about future lives, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a fascinating subject. There's a lot. And it also encompasses things like time slips and people that have fallen through time. And that's also very, very, very interesting. The more you look into it, the more you find, the more that you actually want to go and look into it. So it just introduces you to go and find your own and go and look
rabbit
at
holes.
It's amazing, and hopefully recognize when you're in the midst of an experience yourself, because a lot of people will have these experiences and they won't recognize it. There's people who will drive past the same shop every day and they won't recognize when that shop isn't that shop anymore, even if it's just for an hour. That it's changed, and those things, to me, happen every day. But they're fascinating to explore and to hear people's recognition of the fact that they've experienced it, because it just shows that they're happening. It's just that we don't know why or how.
No. Well, that brings us to the next question, actually, from Nickname. She's
Okay.
asking, have you ever experienced a time slip?
Yeah, I have. This is what got me into it. Okay, because
Oh.
I was interested in all this stuff, but we went to, when I say we, myself and my wife, we went to Australia. We were working in Brisbane, Australia, and our second day in Brisbane, we thought, well, if anyone knows Brisbane, it's got a big hill, right? And you have to walk down the hill into the city centre and up the hill to get away, if you like. And so when we actually walking down the hill, we thought we're not going to be able to walk back up this hill unless we have a coffee. So we found this little coffee shop, but the little coffee shop was really weird. It had sort of old-fashioned cakes and old-fashioned people in it. You know, there's a woman with an old-fashioned, and she talked to us. She's talking about coming from Liverpool and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And we left, and we thought that was weird. That was really, really strange. And so we left, and we thought we'll go back. Before we leave Brisbane, we were there for 2 weeks. We thought, before we leave, we'll go back.
Yeah.
And we couldn't find the shop.
Oh.
It just wasn't there. We knew the location because it was right on the corner of a street next to a cinema. So we knew where we were going, but we couldn't ever find that coffee shop again.
Wow.
So it was a really quite surreal experience, because I'm quite a, I want to find out why. I don't just believe in things because they happen. I want to know what's happened.
Yeah.
And for me, I was questioning, are we actually disorientated? Were we not in the right place? I mean, was the location not where we thought it was? But the more we looked, the more it wasn't there. And it's just like, where's that come from? So that got me into looking at time slips and figuring out. I mean, if anyone knows Liverpool and Bold Street, there's lots of occurrences in Bold Street.
Oh,
Liverpool.
because that's near the passport office and all that. That's Bold Street.
Yeah,
You've got the newspaper printers there as well,
and the train station and all that stuff.
Yeah. So
lots of time slips happened
I've
in
heard
Bold
that
Street
before, but I forgot about it.
You got to go and explore it.
I need to go back. I've got to go back.
Because even with like Google and everything, if you were a couple streets over in the wrong area, it should have been easy enough to find the shop that you were in.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, I'm pretty good with stuff, and I'm not too bad at finding my way around places. But the fact is that when you see something, you recognize it by sight first, don't you? Mm-hmm. You recognize, like everyone would know the shop front.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. And I couldn't think why it wouldn't be there. It was only a few days since we've been in. And there may be a logical explanation, but for me, I think we had a time slip at that point.
Yeah.
And that, since then, I've investigated other people's, and there's some fascinating stories. There's a guy that actually appeared in the middle of New York in Times Square. Literally appeared. He got knocked over by a horse and cart. And on him was all his documentations from 1820, and we're talking in the 1920s, right, when he got knocked over. So he had all this old money on him. He had all these old identity cards, tokens from certain shops and things. Look it up, Times Square, the man that fell through time. And he actually, no one's ever been able to identify why that happened that way. So
that's the guy who had old money on him too, right? He had no new money.
He had all old money, and old tabs and old tokens and all sorts of stuff. So it was like he was in the wrong time. Just felt
that reminds me of that story of the guy who he flew. I don't know what country he'd gone to. He checked his passport and he's from a country that no one's heard of. When he pointed it out on a map, it's where Japan is, but it wasn't Japan. We should begin with T. I cannot remember the name of the country. It's called The Man From, and then the name of this place.
Okay,
he
sounds interesting.
He had all documents that this place existed and showing them on the map. They left him in the room. They went away to go and work out what was going on, come back, and he'd gone.
So
but this room was locked.
So alternative reality?
Possibly.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, isn't it? If we know that things like that have happened, then the explanations are going to be really quite strange. but they're going to be the only explanations of why that thing happens. So just, you know, I mean, to me, I'm sort of thinking there's alternative realities with all us in, all doing different things. And that's really interesting to think that, isn't it?
I know. Well, the thing is as well, his passport had been stamped with that visa from that country.
Yeah, that's too elaborate. That's too elaborate hoax to actually invent, isn't it?
Yeah,
you're not going to invent that. You're something that's
couldn't.
You couldn't, could you? Your imagination wouldn't go past that. You'd be sort of getting into Roald Dahl territory, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Wow. Right, got time for one more question, I think.
Okay.
So we'll do this one. It's kind of going off topic a little bit. It's from Derek Galloway. Question for the guest: has he heard of the relation between Satan and Enlil? Enlil? Thanks.
Okay, I'm sure that's some sort of question for people that are into their Bible studies. No, not me personally. I'm really much into things like auras and energies and frequencies. I don't really study the religious texts and things that are containing things with Satan in them. So the answer is very easy and simple. One is no, I haven't heard of that.
Okay. Another
Enlil is the Sumerian god of the air and wind.
Oh, okay. Sounds interesting. I mean, it's always worth understanding where these questions come from, because they can lead to other knowledge. And I'm always interested in why someone might ask a question like that, and what the purpose behind, or the intent behind asking me something which would be relevant to them, but maybe not relevant to the subject we're talking about right now. Yeah.
He's put Enlil is Anunnaki.
Anunnaki. Oh, okay. Well, that's an alien life form, which would be quite an interesting thing to go and have a look at. I've heard of the Anunnaki and the different sort of traits of that. To me, I don't know so much in depth about those things, because they're things that I've avoided looking too deeply into, because they are people's personal experiences that you can't actually go and say, yes, I really can see that, or no, I can't, because it comes from a personal perspective. And if someone's telling a personal story, they're telling it from where they see it as truth. So, which is fine. It's their truth, and that's fine with me.
Right. Last question then. Do you want to do it, Tommy?
Shall I do it?
So this is from Gerald of Midwest Night Watchers.
Have you ever seen black shadow people near interactions where white people have had car accidents?
I've seen shadow ghosts and shadow people. There's two. I've seen two occasions, not necessarily near car accidents, but the first shadow ghost I ever come across was in a place called Ghost House UK, where I worked as the medium for 4 years. I was the resident medium in that particular place, and the shadow ghost is like a real big ball of energy that moves around really quick, and it's very dark, very black, and they tend to live in old corners of buildings or out the way, out of the light. And I actually walked past this shadow ghost, and it is really quite an emotional experience. It really triggers the emotions within you, because for me, they are the emotional energy that's left over when a soul transcends. So if someone goes through a lot of emotion, a lot of difficulty, a lot of angst during their life, before the soul goes to into the next life, this energy that's attached or a part of that soul is left here. And of course, these shadow ghosts still exist, because they're just pure energy in different little places where they can't be disturbed. And, old buildings, haunted houses, places of difficulty where people have been hung or murdered will have shadow ghosts, because they're sort of the energy there. The second time I saw one was in this place called the Skerrid Inn, which is in Herefordshire in Wales. Skerrid Mountain. And that was where Judge Jeffreys used to hang sheep rustlers in the 15th century. And they used to hang them down the staircase. And so they used to
Ooh.
drop them through a noose and drop them down and kill them,
Yeah.
dispatch them literally from the courtroom straight to the noose. And in there was a shadow ghost, and that was quite scary because a group of us actually came across it. And of course, the ladies in the group got very emotional and very, very distressed by the presence of that ghost. And to this day, I don't know how to deal with those sort of entities because they're literally in that place and they don't really look for contact with humans. But what they tend to do is stay out of the way of humans. But if we come across them, it get quite difficult to know how to handle the emotions that come from them. So they're one of the, I mean, that and the mimic ghost are probably the two ghosts that I would be the most respectful of, that are the most difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Tonight, it's just been, honestly, it's been absolutely mind-blowing. Fantastic.
Thank you.
And thank you for verifying the things that I
Well,
put up.
anytime, we're friends now, Andy. I mean, send
Yes.
them over to me on email, and I'll always look at pictures for you. I mean,
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, if you can do that, why wouldn't you? It takes me moments to look, and I'm always happy to do that and to assist. And we'll look for what is there, for what is real. We don't want to find stuff that isn't. If it's there, we'll find it. If it's not, we just move on.
Yeah,
So,
exactly that.
Yeah.
That was crazy. We had such a big discussion about like that dog man photo, and like 30 seconds was like, nope.
Yeah.
I've been talking about that. Nearly 2 years I've been trying to find out everything about it.
Yeah.
I was up and down, in and out, and nothing.
Well, but it's good to know too when it's not. That way you can move on to the next piece of evidence to try to,
find the real stuff.
Real thing.
Yeah, find the real stuff. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the things that we don't know. I mean, why be caught up in? Yeah, bench guy. Yeah, I mean, anything that we can look for, let's find it. But let's not find the stuff that is fake or that people are putting out there for effect. That's just diverting us from the real cause. Yeah,
100%. So, massive thank you, Dominic. Absolute pleasure, honestly. Loved every moment of tonight's show. Thank you, Nicole and Tommy.
Thank you
for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, nice to meet you, and thank you for telling me my aura's not ugly.
Look, I'm a charmer, Nicole, especially to young ladies. Yeah.
He doesn't like gingers, that's where it is, Tommy.
I don't blame him.
Something I said.
Yeah, I'm glad mine wasn't a ginger aura.
Yeah. No, massive thank you to everyone. Everyone with the questions, everyone in the chat. From what I'm looking on the messages now, everyone absolutely loved tonight's show. So,
and everybody wants Dominic to come back on so we can get into another topic, like more in depth.
Yeah, well, give us some times and some dates, and we'll talk, and we'll do that. If anyone wants to come on Facebook, it's Dominic Zenden. Just find me on there, or a profiling on Instagram, and they'll find me there as well. So I'm quite available if people are around. But I try and make time for everything and everybody. But some days it gets a bit hectic.
Yeah, I have put your links up in the show notes, so you can find them on there in the description. So
brilliant.
They're all there. So we're gonna have to come to an end now. I'm sorry, I could sit here forever. I really, really could. Don't want it to end. These shows are supposed to be an hour and a half long.
Let's do another hour. Come on,
mental.
We knew that wasn't happening today.
I know. So just before we go, tomorrow morning at 10:30, I'm doing the monthly members live stream. So if you are a paying member to the YouTube channel, doing the live stream tomorrow, where you can come on and have your say on what we're doing in the show, any ideas that you think for doing different things on the show as well, they're all more than welcome. So it's just giving something back to people that are paying.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for that. I'm all for being available and helping and being there with people. But
Yeah.
it's something that is just part of who I am and what I do. But
Yeah.
the fact is, if people are curious, then they've always got access to opinions. And if your show is a part of that, well, that's even better, because it means that you're allowing people to see you and see the guests that you bring on improve their knowledge, and that's just great, because everyone should actually be able to access that knowledge.
So that's why I do it. It's just to give the people a chance to have, like I say, have their say, suggest guests for coming on and different ways of doing things and that. So like I said before, I don't want to be like everyone else, and I'm avoiding it like the plague.
I don't think you'll ever have that. I think the individuality is there obviously for us all to see, but the individuality of you guys, together, you make a good team. So it's nice that you have all those different perspectives and all those different ideas from your collective knowledge. So that works, and that's always nice to be a part of that.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much for. Really appreciate it. Right, I am going to have to end it now. So thank you to everyone. Those who are members, you can catch us tomorrow at 10:30. If not, me and Nicole will be back on Sunday, 5 p.m. UK time, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to be talking, hopefully, with Paul Bartholomew. So fingers crossed his internet's working. Until then, have a great weekend, everyone. If not, we'll see you next Wednesday. Take care and goodbye. Thanks again.
Bye.